the really cool thing is, once you lengthen it out, it's really long, like that. So you would have a lot of leeway like with this one. So if you were climbing something that was zigzaggy or something like that, you would want something longer on it. Because you never want your rope to lift up on your protection. Here's the thing. If one piece pulled out and I clipped in like this, this carabiner would slide off. So here's something really, really cool. We twist one side of the webbing like this. And now we clip our carabiner on. If you do that, suddenly you're inside the webbing. Isn't that interesting? So you always have to twist the webbing to make sure you're on the inside of it. And that way, if one piece of protection pulls out, you're still attached to the other one. I had a separate sling running off of each carabiner over the edge, and it equaled out, the lengths equaled out, that would be okay. Okay, I'm going to show you guys a trick. I'm going to make one piece of webbing work like two pieces. So I'm going to find out where the direction of pull is, put a knot in it, and that's a finished top rope. Because of this knot, I have two pieces of webbing below the knot. I have two pieces of webbing above the knot. If I cut this piece of webbing, I still have this piece, right? If I cut one of these, I still have the other piece. By putting a knot in it, I made this one sling work like two slings. Cool, huh? Oh. And then flip one over.
Oh, okay.
Because there's a lot of people who...
Yeah, I was like, I thought you were supposed to have the gates on different sides.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that do this and think, well, the gates are in opposite directions, and they are, but really they're not the same way. Oh, so if one flips over, then you're kind of in trouble.
I see.
So that's why you put them on the same, put them on the same side, make sure they're in opposite directions, then you can flip one over.
That's what it means.
Yeah. And then, since these 2 points of connection are so important, I'm going to double these guys up. I put one there, and again, I put the gate in an opposite direction. And I put one here in the opposite direction. This is a finished top rope. You could hang a school bus on this. I'm serious, it's so strong. I've made 2 slings. And really, you kind of have to look above and below the knot to understand it, but yeah. If you were a tree,
that's the same thing you did right here, right?
If it was a boulder, I could throw this over him if it was an awesome boulder, and this would be 2 slings around the boulder, right? Tree. And I mean really good. You have to check for growth because there are dead trees out here. Actually, you can't top rope on trees in the park, but in other areas you can. I put one sling around them, right? Put a knot in it. Perfect. 2 slings. You can always just have separate pieces of webbing. But really our whole goal here is to have a situation where if something fails, it's backed up, right? So it's okay to have 2 separate pieces of webbing. These are different sizes, aren't they? Yeah. Oh, that sucks. If they were like this much different or that much different, I'd put a couple knots in it. They aren't, they're quite a bit different. All you need to do is lengthen one out. And let me say that whenever you're going over the edge, you only go over the edge with this stuff. You never go over the edge with anything else.
Only the tubular webbing.
Only the tubular.
Not the slings.
Not the slings. Never a rope, because a rope has a diameter. Never cord, because cord has a diameter. That's a short one. Yeah. This is called a girth hitch. The way I'm hitching these together, that's a girth hitch. So now I've made this other one longer, which hopefully should help us some.
And the cups goes.
Awesome.
Perfect.
So you see how there's like that much difference?
Yeah.
I'm going to put an overhead knot in one. Now I pull on this, and I'm pulling on all 4 pieces of protection at the same time. You want to be like that far over your edge. You don't want to be 10 feet over your edge. So if you're 10 feet over your edge, that's too much. You necessarily have to have a carabiner connection there. You can if you want, but you don't have to. I do this all the time. Right, so I'm still pulling on all 4 pieces of protection at the same time. Any questions? Short piece of static if like your edge is way down there, because this is the only way to get down there. As opposed to a dynamic, because the dynamic stretches. You don't want your anchor rope to stretch. If you are using a dynamic, try to take the stretch out and figure out how long it'll be once it's stretched. So this is an 8 knot on a bite, right? I doubled the rope over, put a knot in. clip it to the protection. So you guys stay here. Now I'm going to go down. I'm going to make a big, big U. I do another overhand, another 8-knot on a bite, right? And if you're holing stuff, this is what you do, right? You put a carabiner on it and haul it like that. I come back up, I clip it in. So now I've made a U with this static rope. Affirmative?
Mm-hmm.
So I have 2 separate ropes coming off the anchor at this point. I'm going to make it 2 separate ropes. So put this knot here, and here's a good secret. I want this rope to be this long, correct? So it matches that one. Add 2 carabiner lengths, bend it there, and put your 8-knot in it. Now the ropes will be equal. So it takes about 2 carabiner lengths to put an 8-knot in a rope. And the rest of this rope, I just throw it to the side. I don't need that anymore. That's why I wasn't real precise. So don't try to be precise with your rope. You just want to make sure you have enough rope.
And the edge is like this edge, right?
Exactly.
Down there, okay.
Yeah. It's like a haircut. You know, if your haircut is too short, it's hard to fix. If it's too long, it's okay. So make sure your rope is long enough. And again, bam. I can just put 2 pieces of webbing on this thing. So if I had 2 ovals down there that were opposed, this would be a safe top rope. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So you got the 2 there, and then you're gonna have 2 more down there.
Exactly. I'll show you guys how to tie this knot in a second. It's really an overhand knot. You call it a tape knot in webbing. But basically, you have about 3 inches of tail coming out opposite ends of the webbing, like that.
Do those slide over time?
You want to keep an eye on it if your webbing is new. You might even want to have a little longer tail on it, but no, it'll be fixed.
Okay.
The only reason you would untie this is if you have to go around a big boulder or something.
Okay.
So 2 beaners here, and yeah, if you did this, what have you gained?
You have to untie another knot later?
Exactly, you haven't gained anything.
Okay.
It's still just 2 slings.
Still 2
Yeah.
slings. Okay.
What have I gained here?
Is this for if you're on a sharp spot and you're going to pad it? Or
Yeah,
something?
what have I gained?
Well, I guess
By doing that.
you're keeping it more
it-
organized so it'll stay on the pad, maybe?
I have 4 pieces of webbing between the knots.
So,
Isn't that interesting? So between
So
these
if one of them
knots,
blows
I have
on
3
the
other
sharp
ones.
edge, you still got 3 more.
Right. Right, so now I have 4 pieces of webbing over the edge, just between the knots. Below this knot, it's 2 slings. Above that knot, it's 2 slings. But between the knots, it's 4 slings.
Okay.
Kind of cool.
Yeah. That's very cool.
I do this all the time, right? I just made a U,
This is
And
a
then
single
it's
piece of webbing.
single piece of webbing.
So you are going to tie the knot.
Bam! This
so
is
now is it 2?
indeed, and you can actually count them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Below the knot, there's 2. Above the knot, there's 2 loops.
Okay.
You can do this. Clip your rope in down here. So if you're sport climbing, typically that's what you do at the top, right? Just a little quick draw for each one. Cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is going to be 2. If I'm doing a class on
So
the
you can do either one of these.
yeah, on a flat wall. In other words, I'm not going to go
Yeah.
over the edge with these guys. And of course, double it up, right? So how's that? This is a great reason to use this webbing like someone mentioned earlier. If you do this,
And then like a U.
yeah, this equalizes it. So if your bolts aren't at the same height, or your 2 points on your top rope aren't at the same height, you equalize it like this, right? Put a knot in it. Now let me just mention, when you put a knot in this thing, it will no longer self-equalize. In other words, if
Yeah.
it comes over here, you're only hanging on that one. If it comes over here, you're only hanging on that one.
So do you want a knot in it?
When it goes over the edge of it, you need to make sure that everything is in the direction it should be pointing.
Okay.
Some people think, well, all I do is put a knot in and it works like 2 pieces. This is still just 1 piece of webbing, right? So this isn't 2 pieces. That's when you double it over somehow and put a knot in, it works.